Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm 22 years old. 4.5 years ago, I moved to New York to go to NYU and study theater. When I was a sophomore, I was reading Isaiah 58 on my way to church and was challenged on the way I was living my life. I went to church and worshiped in all the right ways, but I wasn't spending myself on feeding the hungry or meeting the needs of the oppressed. So I started spending my free time eating with homeless people around NYU, while every night returning to my Fifth Avenue downtown apartment. Something began to feel out of place. Around that time, I started reading the Gospel of Matthew with my friend Jillian. We asked ourselves, what if we took the words of Jesus seriously and didn't water them down? We decided that the answer to that for us was to move just a few miles away to the South Bronx, the poorest neighborhood in the U.S. The South Bronx has the highest rate of poverty in the United States. More than half the kids that live there live below the poverty line. 2 out of every 3 adults are unemployed. 60% of people don't have a high school diploma, and only 4% of people in my neighborhood have graduated from college. Needless to say, drugs, crime, gangs, and prostitution are rampant. Violence is a normal part of survival. Our biggest obstacle at the beginning was that everyone from the cops to our Christian community thought we were crazy. The cops told us our neighborhood was a war zone and we had to get out. I remember sitting on my stoop one night and watching the families walk by. I thought to myself, who's fearing for the safety of these kids? As long as they're forced to walk home on these streets, I will too. As we began to focus on being present in the neighborhood, we realized that the people we were supposed to be afraid of greeted us by name and gave us huge hugs every time we walked by. Before long, kids were hanging out at our house until midnight and asking for food. We realized that no one was taking care of them. Most of them lived with one guardian who was either strung out on drugs or worked 3 jobs. So we started giving them after-school snacks, helping them with their homework, feeding them dinner, and putting them to bed in their homes every night. All of this was happening while I had a full-time job that I not only loved, but found myself with a huge amount of power, influence, and wealth within the company. However, I was working 80 hours a week and had less and less time to read Bible stories to the kids or to be there for my neighbor when she was diagnosed with AIDS. I had to make a choice. So after wrestling for months, I quit my job and decided to raise support so that I could give all of my time, energy, and creativity to being a part of God's renewal in my neighborhood. I don't know where the money is going to come from, but I have faith because I know that I am in the center of God's kingdom becoming a reality on earth. The poorest neighborhood in America is in the most powerful city in the world. As a part of Trinity Grace Church, I'm committed to seeing God's kingdom come in New York, which to me means people from Chelsea and the Upper East and West Sides coming alongside our brothers and sisters in the South Bronx, living together, worshiping together, and breaking bread together. As the people of God, we're called to steward our privilege on behalf of the poor in our city. What an honor that God uses our small acts of obedience to bring His kingdom in forgotten neighborhoods. This is just the beginning of God's work in the South Bronx of New York City.